The auditorium on Station Kepler 7 was filled with strange creatures from all over the galaxy. Some had skin that changed colors. Others looked like giant insects. A few were almost see-through like jelly. They all came to learn about military training from different worlds. Lieutenant Daniel Hayes stood at the entrance watching them arrive. He was 28 years old and had spent years in Earth's military. Today was his turn to teach these aliens about how humans trained their soldiers. He felt excited and a little nervous. The room had special seats for each type of alien. The tall, thin Velkari with shiny skin sat near the front. Behind them, bug-like creatures called Chirask made clicking sounds as they talked. The jelly-like Ploxians sat in special containers. Lizard-like Saurine kept adjusting their temperature controls because the room felt too cold for them. A Velkari named Commander Xyloth walked to the front. He had silver marks on his body that showed he was important. A small device on his chest turned his words into sounds everyone could understand. "Welcome, honored teachers," Xyloth said. "For the next few weeks, we will learn from each other. Today, Lieutenant Hayes from Earth will teach us about human training methods." Daniel walked to the front of the room. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. He had planned a long presentation, but looking at all the different aliens, he changed his mind. He decided to start simple. "How many of you know about Earth?" he asked. A few hands and other body parts went up. One Chirask made clicking sounds. The translator changed it to words everyone understood. "Earth is a Class 12 death world, correct? A very dangerous planet?" "Yes, that's right," Daniel said. "Earth is what you call a high-gravity, hostile environment world. Everything is harder there. The gravity is strong. The weather changes a lot. There are places so hot or cold they can kill you. Before I explain how we train, you need to understand something important. We train the way we do because our planet made us this way." A Ploxian named Globber made a bubbling sound. "Surely you train in safe buildings away from danger." Daniel smiled. "That's where we're different. We believe in training in real conditions, the same conditions our soldiers will face in actual combat. Today, I'm going to explain what we call basic endurance training. This is what every human soldier must complete." The room became quiet. All the aliens leaned forward. Their eyes or sensors focused on Daniel. "Before we start," Daniel continued, "I should tell you that basic training for humans lasts about 10 to 13 weeks. This is just the beginning, before any special training." Sounds of surprise filled the room. A Saurine named Cassix raised a clawed hand. 10 weeks? Our complete military training is only 4 weeks. That is already very long for us." "I understand that sounds like a lot," Daniel said. "But remember, we're preparing soldiers to work in Earth's conditions. Let me explain the physical requirements." He turned on a holographic display. It showed a human figure running. Every trainee must run 3 kilometers in less than 15 minutes. The Chirask's antennas dropped down. 15 minutes of running without stopping? In how much gravity? 1 Earth gravity. That's 9.8 meters per second squared. Xyloth's skin turned pale blue, which meant he was shocked. "That is almost twice the gravity of my homeworld. You make your basic soldiers run in such heavy conditions?" "Running is just the start," Daniel explained. He showed another image. "We also test muscle strength. Trainees must do push-ups. That means they hold their body off the ground with their arms, then lower down and push back up. They must do between 40 and 70 repetitions in 2 minutes. A Ploxian made a gurgling sound of disbelief. 70 times? One after another? Without resting? Correct. We also test core strength. Trainees lie on their backs and lift their upper body up and down. Again, 50 to 70 times in 2 minutes. The room went completely silent. Daniel could see the aliens looking at each other. Their body language all said the same thing, even though they were different species. They didn't believe him. Cassix spoke again. His voice sounded sharp through the translator. "Lieutenant Hayes, with respect, this sounds impossible. Are you sure these are requirements for basic soldiers, not your elite forces?" "These are baseline requirements," Daniel confirmed. "Our elite forces train much harder than this. Special operations soldiers might run 20 kilometers while carrying 20 kilograms of equipment." Globber's jelly-like body rippled. "We must be misunderstanding the translation. You are describing things that would kill most species." "That's exactly my point," Daniel said kindly. "These things don't kill humans because we grew up in these conditions. Every human child lives in 1 Earth gravity from birth. We breathe air that's 21% oxygen. We deal with temperatures and weather that you would find deadly. He changed the holographic display to show Earth's different environments. Mountains, deserts, jungles, and frozen wastelands appeared in the air. Our training happens in all of these places. We don't pretend or simulate Earth conditions. We train directly in them. We have desert training where daytime temperatures go above 50 degrees Celsius. We have cold weather training where it drops to minus 40 degrees. We have jungle training where soldiers walk through thick plants with dangerous animals around them. A Valkyrie stood up quickly. Her skin flashed orange with anger. This is crazy. Your species sends untrained people into deadly environments as part of training. Under supervision, yes, Daniel answered. But here's what you need to understand. These aren't deadly environments to us. They're hard, yes. They push our limits, but humans have lived in every one of these environments for thousands of years without technology. We're not sending trainees somewhere alien. We're teaching them to be excellent in their natural home. The auditorium exploded with noise. Clicks, hums, bubbles, and hisses filled the air as the alien instructors talked among themselves. Commander Xyloth raised a hand for quiet. Lieutenant Hayes, I think I speak for everyone when I say we cannot understand this. The Valkyrie do our training in reduced gravity with careful air quality control. Most species here do the same. I understand, Daniel said. That's why I'm here. To share our way of doing things. But I think the best way to help you understand is to show you, not just tell you. With your permission, Commander, I'd like to take anyone interested to Earth to watch actual human training. We have a facility running a basic training cycle right now. The room fell silent again. The idea of visiting a death world, even with protection, clearly scared many of the instructors. Finally, Kasich stood. I will go. If humanity's weakest soldiers train in such conditions, I must see it myself. One by one, other instructors volunteered. Some were curious. Others were skeptical. But all of them needed to understand how a species could consider such extreme conditions normal. Daniel smiled. Excellent. I'll arrange a visit to Camp Lejeune, one of our training facilities. I should warn you, though. You'll need special suits to protect you from Earth's conditions. And prepare yourselves. What you're about to see might change everything you think you know about military training. As the meeting ended, Daniel heard two Chirask instructors talking in rapid clicks. His translation device caught parts of it. Impossible. Must be lying. No species could survive. He allowed himself a small smile. They hadn't seen anything yet. The real education was about to begin. Soon they would understand what it meant to be human. To be forged by a world that never stopped testing its children. Earth had made humanity strong. And these aliens were about to learn just how strong that was. The transport shuttle shook as it dropped through Earth's atmosphere. Daniel watched as his alien guests pressed against the windows. The ship heated up from friction, and several Ploxians pulled back into their protective containers. The Valkyrie's skin turned blue and purple, showing they were stressed. The entry is rougher than expected, Commander Xyloth said. His translator struggled to work properly as the shuttle vibrated. Standard Earth approach, Daniel replied. Our atmosphere is thick compared to most worlds. All that oxygen and nitrogen creates a lot of resistance. The shuttle broke through the clouds. Below them, the coast of North Carolina appeared. The morning sun made the Atlantic Ocean sparkle as they got closer to the military base. This is Camp Lejeune, Daniel announced. It covers about 156,000 acres and is a major training facility for our Marine Corps. The base is at sea level, with beaches, wetlands, and forests. The shuttle landed on a pad near the training observation building. When the doors opened, several aliens pulled back from the rush of Earth air. The humidity, Kasich gasped. His environmental suit sensors flashed warning lights. It's almost 60%. Welcome to coastal North Carolina in spring, Daniel said happily. Actually, this is perfect weather. It's only 22 degrees Celsius today. He led the group of 15 alien instructors down the ramp. Each wore special suits that controlled gravity, air, and temperature for their specific bodies. The suits were amazing pieces of technology, allowing them to experience Earth without being crushed, suffocated, or burned. Captain Linda Martinez waited at the bottom of the ramp. She was the commanding officer of the training battalion they would watch. Captain Martinez, thank you for hosting us, Daniel said, giving a military salute. Linda returned the salute and turned to the aliens. Welcome to Camp Lejeune. I understand you're here to watch our basic training program. Today you'll see Company Charlie. They're currently in their 6th week of training. Week 6 of 13. Glauber bubbled through his suit's speaker. So they are almost halfway done? That's correct, Linda confirmed. Today's schedule includes a conditioning hike, combat fitness test, and obstacle course. Follow me to the observation platform. They walked across the base. Daniel noticed the aliens struggling even with their suits helping them. The Velkari, used to much lighter gravity, moved very carefully. Even the Saurine, whose planet had stronger gravity than most, seemed to work hard with each step. Are you finding the walk difficult? Daniel asked Xyloth. The suit helps, but I can feel it, the commander admitted. I can feel the weight of this world trying to crush me. How do your people simply walk without thinking about it? We don't know anything different, Daniel replied. This is normal for us. They reached the observation platform overlooking a large training field. In the distance, Daniel could see a company of trainees gathering in formation. Even from far away, their synchronized movements were visible. There are about 180 trainees in Company Charlie, Linda explained. Ages from 18 to 25, mixed men and women, all volunteers. What you're about to see is a standard training day. The aliens watched as the trainees, wearing camouflage uniforms and carrying large packs, lined up in neat rows. A drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Kyle Morrison, stood before them. His voice carried across the field without any electronic help. Good morning, Marines. Good morning, sir. The response came as one loud roar that made several aliens flinch. Is the yelling necessary? Asked a Chirask named Click. It seems like wasted energy. It builds teamwork and spirit, Linda explained. Shared challenges and shared responses make the trainees work as one unit. Morrison began leading the company through warm-up exercises. Even these preparatory movements made the alien observers shift uncomfortably. They're doing fast movements, Xyloth observed. Jumping, turning their bodies, moving their arms and legs. For how long? About 15 minutes, Linda answered. Just to prepare their muscles for the real training. Preparation for the preparation, Kasich muttered. Remarkable. After the warm-up, the drill instructor ordered the trainees to put on their packs. Each pack weighed about 20 kilograms, filled with standard field gear. They're adding more weight. Glauber pulsed with confusion. They already work in extreme gravity, and now they add more? That's the standard load a Marine carries in field operations, Daniel explained. Actually, this is light. In combat situations, loads can be over 40 kilograms. The alien instructors watched in stunned silence as 180 human trainees, each carrying 20-kilogram packs, began jogging. Not walking, jogging. Where are they going? Click asked. It's a 12-kilometer conditioning hike, Linda said. They'll run for the first 5 kilometers, then walk fast for the rest. Expected completion time is about 2 hours. 2 hours of continuous movement, Xyloth repeated slowly. Under added weight. In this gravity. While staying in formation and following commands, Linda added. If anyone falls behind or can't keep pace, they get extra training as correction. One of the Ploxians made a sound that the translator said meant crying. Another Velkari instructor had turned completely white, a sign of extreme shock in their species. The group watched as the trainee company disappeared down a trail into the forest. The rhythmic sound of boots on dirt slowly faded away. Would you like to see other training while we wait for them to return? Linda asked. We have another company running the obstacle course. She led them to a different area where an elaborate course stretched across several acres. Walls to climb, rope bridges to cross, tunnels to crawl through, and various other obstacles designed to challenge human physical abilities. A whistle blew, and a line of trainees attacked the course. They climbed walls twice their height, swung across gaps on ropes, crawled through mud under sharp wire, and climbed cargo nets that swayed in the wind. The sharp wire, Kasich noted with alarm. It's designed to cut flesh. It's there to keep them low, Daniel explained. Teaches them to stay under cover in combat. No one is supposed to get cut, but it happens sometimes. Small injuries are part of training. You intentionally design training that causes injuries? A Saurine named Velka sounded horrified. We design training that's realistic, Linda corrected. Combat causes injuries. If our Marines can't handle small cuts and bruises in training, they won't survive actual warfare. The aliens watched as trainee after trainee conquered the obstacle course. Some struggled. Some excelled. But all of them completed it. The average time, Linda explained, was about 12 minutes. 12 minutes of maximum physical effort, Click calculated, after already doing morning exercises. And before afternoon activities, Daniel added. After the obstacle course, they'll have hand-to-hand combat training, weapons drills, and a classroom session on tactics. How do they have energy left? Glauber asked. By Ploxian standards, they should be exhausted to the point of cell breakdown. They're building endurance, Linda explained. Human bodies adapt to stress. The more we challenge them, the stronger they become. It's called progressive overload. Each week we increase the difficulty slightly. They returned to the original observation point just as the conditioning hike company came out of the forest trail. The trainees were sweating, faces red, but they kept formation and kept moving. As they got close to the training field, Sergeant Morrison ordered them to run for the final kilometer. The aliens watched in absolute silence as 180 humans, after nearly 2 hours of loaded movement, sped up into a run. This is impossible, Xyloth breathed. Their bodies should not allow this. By your standards, no, Daniel agreed. But they're not working by your standards. They're working by Earth standards. The company came to a halt on the field and Morrison ordered them to drop their packs. Without pause, he commanded them into formation for the combat fitness test. Another test? Velka asked weakly. Right now? Time is limited in training, Linda said. We use every hour. What followed would become legendary among the alien instructors. The trainees did fast sprints in full gear. They lifted 20-kilogram weights over their heads repeatedly. They crawled through dirt at high speed while dragging their bodies forward. One trainee, a young woman named Corporal Amy Walsh, did her combat fitness test with special excellence. She was maybe 165 centimeters tall and weighed about 60 kilograms, yet she moved smoothly, making the exercises look easy. That small human, Casix pointed. She cannot weigh more than 60 kilograms. Yet she does the same tasks as males twice her size. Corporal Walsh is one of our top performers, Linda said with clear pride. She gets perfect scores on every physical test. Size isn't everything. Technique, determination, and conditioning matter more. She would be considered too small for warrior training by Saurine standards. Velka commented. She's 21 years old and will likely serve with honor for decades, Linda replied. We've learned not to judge based on size. The training day continued with hand-to-hand combat drills. The aliens watched as trainees practiced hitting, grappling, and defensive moves, all while wearing full uniforms in the humid heat. As the afternoon went on, the temperature rose to almost 30 degrees Celsius. The next morning, the alien instructors gathered in a conference room at Camp Lejeune's headquarters. The room had been changed to help different species. It had adjustable gravity fields, different air zones, and temperature controls. Even with all this help, most of the aliens kept their protective suits sealed against Earth's harsh environment. Commander Xyloth stood at the head of the room. His skin changed through shades of blue and purple as he organized his thoughts. Lieutenant Hayes, Captain Martinez, I believe I speak for all of us when I say yesterday changed everything we thought we knew about military training. We have many questions. That's why we're here, Daniel replied, sitting at the conference table. Linda sat beside him with a data pad ready. Casix spoke first. Let us start with basic biology. You mentioned humans evolved in Earth conditions. Can you explain how your species adapted to survive in such an extreme environment? Linda pulled up a holographic display showing human history. Humans evolved over millions of years in Earth's gravity. Our skeleton structure, muscle density, and heart system all developed to work best under these conditions. What seems extreme to you is baseline normal for us. But the oxygen, Glauber interrupted. Your atmosphere is 21% oxygen. That's almost triple what Ploxians breathe. How do your cells not get damaged? We did evolve systems to handle it, Daniel explained. But that high oxygen content is what lets our metabolism support such intense activity. Our mitochondria, the parts of our cells that produce energy, are extremely good at converting oxygen into usable power. Click's antennas twitched. And the trainees we saw yesterday, they are truly your basic soldiers? Not enhanced in any way? Completely normal humans, Linda confirmed. No genetic changes, no performance drugs beyond basic nutrition. What you saw can be achieved by any healthy human willing to work hard. Impossible, Velka hissed. The small female, Corporal Walsh. She cannot weigh more than 60 kilograms. She should not have the muscle ability to do those tasks. Would you like to meet her? Daniel asked with a slight smile. I arranged for a few trainees to join us today for questions and answers. Corporal Walsh volunteered. The aliens looked at each other. Xyloth's skin flashed with interest. Yes, we would very much like to speak with her. Daniel spoke into his communicator. Send them in. The door opened and 3 trainees entered. Corporal Amy Walsh led the way, followed by Private Jake Foster and Private First Class Megan Brooks. All 3 wore their standard camouflage uniforms and walked with the confident posture of trained Marines. The aliens stared. Up close, the human seemed even more unlikely. Walsh stood maybe 165 centimeters tall, with a lean build that suggested efficiency rather than bulk. Foster was taller, maybe 180 centimeters with broader shoulders. Brooks was somewhere in between. At ease, Linda said. Please have a seat and introduce yourselves. The 3 trainees sat down. Corporal Amy Walsh, ma'am. From Colorado. Been in the Corps for 3 years. Private Jake Foster, from Texas, 7 months in. Just finished basic last month. Private First Class Megan Brooks, Ohio. 14 months in. Currently training for reconnaissance specialty. Casix leaned forward, studying Amy closely. Corporal Walsh, we watched your performance yesterday. By Saurine standards, your size would prevent you from warrior training. How do you do such physical feats? Amy shrugged. Technique and conditioning, sir. I'm not the strongest Marine, but I know how to use my body efficiently. Plus, I've been running since I was a kid. Grew up in the mountains at high altitude, so my lungs are pretty efficient. High altitude? Glauber pulsed with confusion. Colorado has mountains over 4,000 meters high, Daniel explained. Lower oxygen pressure at that height. Amy's body adapted by making more red blood cells and using oxygen more efficiently. So she is enhanced, Velka said. No, Amy corrected politely. That's just normal adaptation. Lots of humans live at high altitude. Our bodies adjust within weeks, Click addressed Jake. Private Foster, you are larger than Corporal Walsh. Do you find the training easier because of your size? Jake chuckled. Not really, sir. I'm stronger for lifting heavy things, sure. But I'm also heavier, which means running and climbing takes more effort. Amy usually beats me in endurance events. Size isn't everything. This goes against basic principles, Xyloth said, his skin flickering. In Velkari military teaching, size and strength directly match with combat ability. Different environments, different rules, Megan offered. Earth has so many different terrains and conditions that we need soldiers who can adapt. Small and quick works better in jungles or cities. Big and strong is better for carrying heavy weapons. We train everyone to be versatile. Tell them about mountain warfare training, Daniel suggested. Megan nodded. I did a course in California, at the Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center. We trained at heights up to 3,500 meters in snow and ice, carrying full combat loads. Temperatures got down to -20 Celsius. We learned to climb rock faces, cross glaciers, and survive in conditions that would kill most people without proper training. The aliens sat in stunned silence. Finally, Glauber spoke. You voluntarily traveled to an even more hostile environment than this base, and trained in conditions that would cause death for educational purposes. Yes, sir, Megan replied. It was challenging, but that's the point. If we can work in extreme environments, normal conditions become easy. Casix turned to Linda. Captain Martinez, I must ask, what is your casualty rate during basic training? Casualties? Linda repeated. We don't have casualties. We have injuries rarely. A twisted ankle, heat exhaustion if someone doesn't drink enough water, maybe some bone stress in extreme cases. But death? That basically never happens. Training is challenging, not deadly. But yesterday, Velka protested, we saw conditions that would kill Saurine soldiers. The heat, the humidity, the gravity, the effort. You are saying humans regularly survive this? Not just survive, Amy interrupted. Thrive. Yesterday was a good day for me. I felt strong. The weather was nice, not too hot. The hike was a decent workout. A decent workout, Xyloth repeated faintly. You carried 20 kilograms for 12 kilometers in extreme gravity and called it decent. Well, yeah, Amy said. In actual deployment, I'd be carrying more like 35 kilograms. The training load is lighter so we can focus on form and building endurance. Jake added. Plus, we were on flat ground. Mountain operations involve steep slopes. That's where it gets really tough. The alien instructors looked at each other, their various forms of body language all showing the same bewilderment. Click asked, how do your people maintain morale? Surely such harsh training must create mental trauma or resentment. The 3 trainees looked at each other and smiled. It's hard, Megan admitted, especially in the early weeks. You're tired, sore, and you miss home. But you adapt. And there's satisfaction in doing things you didn't think you could do. Plus the friendship, Jake added. Shared suffering creates bonds. My platoon went through hell together in basic and now we're close. We'd do anything for each other. Amy nodded. That's the real purpose of basic training, I think. Yes, it builds physical abilities. But it also builds mental toughness and unit bonds. When you've suffered together, you trust each other in combat. Would you three be willing to demonstrate some training exercises? Daniel asked. Give our guests a close look at technique? Sure, Amy said. The three trainees stood and Linda led everyone outside to a smaller training field. What would you like us to show, sir? Megan asked. Let's start simple, Daniel said. Show them a basic push-up, proper form. Amy dropped to the ground and positioned herself. Hands shoulder-width apart. Body straight from head to heels, supported on her hands and toes. This is the starting position, she explained. Core tight, back straight, eyes forward. She lowered herself until her chest nearly touched the ground, then pressed back up. The movement was controlled and efficient. She made it look easy. That's 1 repetition, Amy said. In a fitness test, I need to do 50 in 2 minutes. She did 50 push-ups in about 90 seconds. The alien observers watched in fascination as her arms flexed and extended, her body rising and falling in a steady rhythm. When she finished, she jumped to her feet, barely breathing hard. 50 repetitions, Kasich said quietly, supporting her entire body weight, fighting gravity with each movement. Now multiply that by about 180 trainees, Linda said, all doing the same exercise at the same time. That's what we consider baseline fitness. Show them pull-ups, Daniel suggested. The group moved to a bar mounted between 2 posts. Jake jumped up, grabbed the bar with both hands, and pulled himself up until his chin cleared the bar. He then lowered himself to a full hang and repeated the movement. Pull-ups are harder, Jake explained between repetitions. You're lifting your entire body weight against gravity using mainly your back and arm muscles. He did 20 pull-ups before dropping back to the ground. 20 is good, he said. The record on base is something like 70 in a row. 70? Glauber bubbled in disbelief. That would need more energy than a Ploxian has in their entire body. Different biology, Daniel reminded him. Our muscle fibers are extremely dense and our energy storage is efficient. Megan demonstrated sit-ups, lying on her back and repeatedly lifting her torso to her knees. That evening, Commander Xyloth asked for a private meeting with Daniel and Linda in the officers' lounge. The Velkari sat in a specially designed chair that helped with Earth's crushing gravity. His skin was a thoughtful shade of deep blue. I have been talking with my superiors on Velkar, he began, sending them reports and recordings of what we have seen here. The response has been significant. Significant how? Linda asked. The Galactic Council's Military Advisory Board is calling an emergency meeting, Xyloth replied. Your training methods are forcing us to rethink basic assumptions about warfare, soldier development, and how different species work together militarily. Daniel leaned back in his chair. That sounds like we've caused some worry. Worry, fascination, and fear, Xyloth admitted. When humans applied to join the Council, we knew you came from a high-classification death world. We saw the advantages like strength, endurance, and toughness. What we failed to understand was the cultural implications. He pointed to the window, beyond which the training grounds lay dark under the night sky. Every species in the Council has built military teaching around their home environment. Velkari tactics assume low-gravity combat with emphasis on speed and precision. Saurine teaching centers on high-temperature endurance and chemical warfare. Cherask strategies use their sensory advantages. And human teaching? Linda prompted. You have built a military philosophy around the idea that warfare happens in the most hostile possible conditions, Xyloth said. Because for you, those conditions are normal. Your soldiers train for every environment because Earth has every environment. I hadn't thought of it that way, Daniel said. But you're right. We prepare for desert, jungle, Arctic, mountain, city, and sea operations as standard, because Earth has all those terrains. Exactly, Xyloth's skin flashed. And because you train in actual Earth conditions rather than simulations, your soldiers develop real abilities. A human Marine who completes mountain warfare training has actually climbed mountains in extreme cold. They don't just theoretically know how to do it, they have done it. Linda nodded slowly. I can see how that would worry other species. Our baseline is their extreme. It's more than worry, Xyloth said. It's a complete shift in thinking. Let me share something with you. 300 years ago, the Galactic Council faced a war with an aggressive species called the Krell. They were warriors, expansionist, technologically advanced. The war lasted 50 years and cost millions of lives across dozens of worlds. I read about this, Daniel said. The Council eventually defeated them through superior numbers and working together. Yes, but it was terribly costly, Xyloth continued. The Krell were not a Deathworld species, but they were tough. Now consider this. Based on what I have seen here, a single battalion of human Marines could have ended that war in a fraction of the time with far fewer casualties. The room fell silent. Daniel and Linda looked at each other uncomfortably. That's quite a statement, Linda said carefully. Is it wrong? Xyloth asked. Your soldiers work in conditions that would stop Krell warriors. They carry loads that would crush Krell bones. They endure environmental extremes that would kill Krell in minutes, and they do this as a matter of routine training. We're not invincible, Daniel protested. We can be killed like anyone else. Of course, Xyloth agreed. But the threshold is dramatically different. Let me ask you something. What would happen if a human military force deployed to a standard council member world? Say Velkar? Linda thought for a moment. Assuming air compatibility with breathing equipment, our soldiers would be working in about 60% Earth gravity. They would be able to run faster, jump higher, carry more, and fight longer than on Earth. Their already strong endurance would be effectively doubled. And in combat against Velkari soldiers? Xyloth pressed. I don't want to guess, Linda said diplomatically. I will guess, Xyloth said. A Velkari soldier in our standard equipment weighs about 50 kilograms in our gravity. A human soldier in full combat gear weighs about 100 kilograms in your gravity. Translated to Velkari gravity, that human would have the strength to lift 160 kilograms while staying combat effective. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're saying we'd have an overwhelming physical advantage, Daniel said quietly. I'm saying you would be unstoppable, Xyloth corrected. Not because of better technology or tactics, but simply because of your biology. And this is causing the Council to ask difficult questions. Like what? Linda prompted. Like how do we integrate a species with such different physical abilities into the Council's military structure? Do we create separate human units or try to mix species? How do we prevent other species from feeling inadequate or resentful? And most importantly, how do we make sure humanity's power is used wisely? Daniel stood and walked to the window, looking out at the dark training grounds. You're afraid of us. Some are, Xyloth admitted, but many are simply in awe. You must understand, Lieutenant. The Galactic Council has existed for over 2,000 years. We have seen many species reach space travel. We have integrated diverse biologies, cultures, and technologies, but we have never met a species quite like humanity. Because we're from a death world, Linda said. Because you are from the death world, Xyloth emphasized. There are other high-classification hostile planets, but none currently have spacefaring intelligent species. Earth is unique. You are unique. He shifted in his chair, his skin cycling through thoughtful colors. When your species applied for council membership, we looked at your technology, your culture, your diplomatic abilities. We saw a young civilization, eager to join the galactic community with much to learn but also much to offer. We did not fully understand what your world had made you. Warriors, Daniel said softly. Survivors, Xyloth corrected. There is a difference. Warriors are created through training and culture. Survivors are made through evolutionary necessity. You are both, Linda spoke up. Commander, what exactly is the Council worried about? That we'll become aggressive? Try to expand by force? Some fear that, Xyloth acknowledged. But the greater concern is imbalance. The Council works on a principle of cooperative strength. Each species contributes according to their abilities. Velkari provide intelligence and strategic planning. Saurine offer industrial capacity. Charask supply sensory and communication networks. We balance each other. And humans throw off that balance, Daniel concluded. Potentially, yes, Xyloth said. If human military abilities are as disproportionately powerful as they appear, it creates political complications. Other species may feel diminished or unnecessary. Resentments could build. The cooperative framework could break. He paused, then added, There is also the concern of precedent. If humanity's Deathworld origin provides such advantages, what happens when the next Deathworld species achieves spaceflight? Do we face competition between increasingly tough species? Linda shook her head. Commander, I think you're overestimating us. Yes, we're physically capable, But warfare isn't just about physical strength. It's about strategy, technology, logistics, intelligence. We're not going to dominate the galaxy just because we can do more push-ups. Perhaps not, Xyloth agreed. But consider this scenario. A council colony is threatened by hostile forces. We send a rapid response team. Traditional teaching would be to send 200 soldiers from various species, working with environmental support and technology helpers. But a human response team of 50 Marines working in standard gear might be more effective. More mobile, more adaptable, needing less supply support? You're saying we're more efficient, Daniel said. I'm saying you're self-sufficient in ways other species are not, Xyloth replied. You don't need gravity helpers. You don't need air processors for most environments. You can eat a wider variety of foods. You can tolerate broader temperature ranges. These aren't just combat advantages. They're strategic advantages. So what happens now? Linda asked. Does the Council limit our involvement? Put restrictions on human military units? That's being debated, Xyloth said. Some want human forces to be special response units, deployed only in extreme situations. Others want full integration, believing human presence will improve all Council military forces through training and example. Still others want careful study before making any decisions. Daniel returned to his seat. What do you think, Commander? You've spent 2 days watching our training. What's your assessment? Xyloth's skin shifted through several colors before settling on a neutral gray. I think humanity is exactly what the Council needs and exactly what the Council fears. You represent change, disruption to established patterns. That is always uncomfortable. He leaned forward. But I also think that change is necessary. The Council has grown comfortable. We have not faced a serious external threat in centuries. Our military forces have become ceremonial in many ways. And then humans arrive, showing us what true warrior culture looks like, what it means to be forged in adversity. You're saying we're a wake-up call, Linda observed. I'm saying you're a mirror, Xyloth replied. You show us what we've lost in our comfort, and that is valuable, even if it's uncomfortable to see. Daniel considered this. Commander, you mentioned that some want to study us more before making decisions. What kind of study? The Council wants to watch more of your military. 2 weeks later, Commander Xyloth stood before the Galactic Council's Military Advisory Board. His skin shifted through various shades of blue and purple as he prepared to give his complete report. The chamber was huge, designed to hold representatives from 47 different species, each in their own environmental zone. Honored members of the board, Xyloth began. His translator broadcast his words in multiple languages at once. I have completed the observational study of human military training on the planet Earth. What I am about to present will challenge our basic understanding of soldier development, military teaching, and the integration of Deathworld species into Council forces. The holographic display turned on, showing footage from Camp Lejeune. The board members watched in silence as human trainees performed exercises that seemed to defy normal biological limits. Let me begin with the most important conclusion, Xyloth continued. Everything we witnessed is considered basic, foundational training by human standards. These are not elite soldiers. They are not enhanced individuals. They are ordinary humans being prepared for standard military service. A Saurine board member, General Corva, hissed skeptically, Commander, we reviewed your early reports. Surely there must be some exaggeration. The physical demands you described would kill most species. Which is exactly the point, Xyloth replied. What kills us is normal for them. I invite you to review the full documentation, including direct interviews with the trainees and their instructors. He advanced the display, showing biological analysis data. Human bodies work at an energy use rate about 300% higher than Velkari, 250% higher than Saurine, and 400% higher than Ploxian. Their muscle efficiency, heart capacity, and cellular energy production are all proportionally greater. This is the result of evolution on a Class 12 Deathworld, said Board Chair Nexus, a crystalline being whose thoughts translated directly into the Chamber's communication system. The question is, what does this mean for Council military integration? Significant and complex, Xyloth answered. I've identified 5 primary categories of impact. He pulled up a new slide. First, combat effectiveness. In any standard engagement, human soldiers will have overwhelming physical advantages in most environments. They can carry more equipment, fight longer, endure greater hardship, and work in conditions that would stop other species. This creates imbalance, Corva observed. It creates opportunity. Xyloth countered. Second category is operational flexibility. Humans need minimal environmental support. They can work in gravity ranges from about 0.3 to 1.5 Earth standard. They tolerate temperature ranges from -40 to +50 Celsius. They eat a variety of food types and need less specialized supply lines. A Chirask board member, Scholar Warrior Thix, clicked a question. Does this not make them ideal for rapid deployment and special operations? Exactly, Xyloth confirmed. Which brings me to Category 3, Strategic Applications. I propose that human forces be designated as Council Rapid Response Units, deployable to crisis situations that exceed standard operational parameters. Essentially using them as shock troops, Corva said, his tone suggesting disapproval. Using them as the specialized force they naturally are, Xyloth corrected. Consider the recent piracy crisis in the Outer Rim. We deployed 500 soldiers from various species, needing extensive environmental support, taking 3 weeks to suppress the threat. A human unit of 100 Marines could have resolved the situation in days with minimal supply needs. The board members talked among themselves, their various forms of communication creating a mix of sound and thought. Category 4, Xyloth continued, is training integration. This is where I believe humanity offers the greatest long-term value to the Council. He pulled up footage of Corporal Amy Walsh explaining technique to the alien observers. Human training philosophy emphasizes progressive overload, realistic conditions, and adaptive problem-solving. While other species cannot match human physical abilities, we can learn from their methods. Explain, Nexus requested. Human training succeeds because it's based on principles, not just procedures, Xyloth said. They teach their soldiers to think, to adapt, to overcome obstacles through creativity and determination. These mental approaches can be adapted to any species training program. He showed examples. Velkari forces could implement progressive training cycles that slowly increase difficulty. Saurian units could adopt realistic environmental training rather than pure simulation. Chirask forces could add stress adaptation protocols. You're suggesting we change our training to copy human methods? Thix asked. I'm suggesting we learn from them, Xyloth replied, just as they have much to learn from us. Which brings me to Category 5, Cultural Exchange and Mutual Development. The display showed images of the alien instructors talking with human trainees, asking questions, sharing viewpoints. The most valuable outcome of this study was not the documentation of human abilities, Xyloth said. It was the dialogue it created. Human soldiers are eager to learn about other species. They showed genuine interest in our tactics, our technology, our perspectives. They don't view themselves as superior, merely different. He paused, letting that sink in. This attitude is critical. Humanity could use their physical advantages to demand dominance within Council military structures. Instead, they seek partnership. Perhaps because they're still a young spacefaring species, Corva suggested. Such humility may fade. Perhaps, Xyloth acknowledged. Which is why I recommend immediate integration while that cooperative spirit is strong. Establish precedents now. Create joint units. Foster relationships. Don't wait until potential tensions have time to develop. Board Chair Nexus pulsed with consideration. Commander Xyloth, you're recommending full military integration, despite the significant imbalance in abilities? I am recommending integration because of it, Xyloth replied. Humanity's abilities fill gaps in Council defenses. Their training philosophy offers improvements to our methods. Their cooperative attitude creates opportunities for mutual benefit. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, some species will struggle with feelings of inadequacy, but these are solvable problems. He advanced to his final slide, showing an image of the mixed group standing together at Camp Lejeune, alien instructors in environmental suits beside human trainees in standard uniforms. The alternative is isolation, Xyloth said. We could designate humans as a category unto themselves, limit their involvement, treat them as an anomaly to be managed. But this would waste an unprecedented opportunity and likely breed resentment in both directions. What specific integration structure do you propose? Nexus asked. Xyloth pulled up an organizational chart. 3-tiered approach. First tier is Human Rapid Response Force, self-contained units deployable to extreme situations. Second tier is Joint Operations Units, Mixed species teams where humans serve alongside others in complementary roles. Third tier is Training Exchange Program, where human instructors teach at Council military academies and Council instructors educate human forces. The joint operations units concern me, Corva said. How do we prevent humans from simply dominating these units?
Clear role assignments based on species strengths, Xyloth explained.
Humans handle physical challenges and environmental extremes. Felkari provides strategic planning and intelligence analysis. Chirask manage communications and sensory networks. Saurine contribute industrial and technical expertise. Everyone has value, Thix clicked thoughtfully. You mentioned humans learning from us. What could we possibly teach a species that seems so capable? Much, Xyloth replied immediately. Human technology is relatively young. Their tactical teaching is still developing. Their understanding of alien biology is limited. Their space combat experience is minimal. We have thousands of years of knowledge to share. He showed comparison data. For example, humans excel at ground combat but have limited orbital assault experience. Felkari have perfected three-dimensional combat in low gravity. Humans would benefit enormously from learning these tactics. A fair point, Nexus acknowledged. The proposal has merit. However, I suspect this board will need more than observation data to approve such significant restructuring. I anticipated this, Xyloth said. Therefore, with the cooperation of human authorities, I propose a pilot program. Establish one joint operations unit, 100 personnel total, mixed species composition. Deploy them to a challenging but not critical assignment. Evaluate performance over a 6-month period. And if the pilot program reveals problems we cannot solve? Corva asked. Then we adapt, Xyloth said simply. But I don't believe we'll find such problems. Difficult adjustments, yes. Cultural misunderstandings, certainly. But nothing that can't be resolved with communication and goodwill. The board talked for several hours. Arguments were raised, countered, refined. Some members showed enthusiasm, others caution, a few outright opposition, but slowly a consensus emerged. Finally, Board Chair Nexus announced the decision. The Military Advisory Board approves Commander Xyloth's pilot program proposal. One joint operations unit will be established, with careful monitoring and evaluation. Commander Xyloth will serve as liaison officer overseeing the program. If successful after 6 months, we will consider broader integration. Xyloth's skin flashed with satisfaction.